Hi, I'm Franco Noonan, editor of Learning Curve, which I'm just going to talk you through. Learning Curve came about from a documentary we were going to make on Bram Stoker, who was the author of Dracula, and it's a combination of different pieces. We're going to have a intro link to the documentary. Which this sequence was, and it's basically him trying to get his lines right. I created the opening sequence, which is anybody who has seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre will recognize it. I've actually taken the exact words of the opening sequence of Texas Chainsaw and just moved them around a bit. I kind of inserted what was relevant to the piece in question, and it's myself doing the voiceover to that. So as I said, this was going to be the opening piece to the documentary, where it's shot in the crypt of a place called St. Michan's Church in Dublin, and they're actually real crypts on each side of them, where you would have 10 to 12 different bodies in each one, so he's actually surrounded by corpses. But he was meant to read from the book, come forward, give the intro piece to camera, and he messes up his line. And we go into the opening sequence, which is the music kindly provided by Motorhead. And going through our different names. I call it Learning Curve, obviously because it was a bit of a learning curve first. Here we are back to him messing up his lines. So basically it was just a static camera set up on the tripod. It's quite a narrow walkway down there, and it's actually quite a unique place because the temperature remains constant due to the limestone wall and flooring, and there's actually no moisture in the air down there either, and that's to actually keep the bodies from fully decomposing. So what you've got basically are mummified remains, and you can actually go on guided tours down there. And I actually went down on a guided tour with my girlfriend, and just before we shot the documentary, and I got permission to shoot. Although we're only allowed to use fluorescent lights, so it wouldn't actually heat up the crypt and then actually affect the bodies in the rooms. So basically we've got a fluorescent light in each doorway. Basically one you buy in a DIY store. Basic fluorescent tubes. And we put a blue gel over each one. And just line them up in each doorway down. And the camera just underneath the edge of the frame and the wires from the extension leads. But it's a lovely shot. But Tony just couldn't get his lines right. And this was shot over I think it was 2-hour period. And we just kept the camera rolling constantly in the hope that we would capture at least one where we'd get it right. Which he didn't, as you can probably see. A test of patience. But at the end, that's when we realised we didn't have a link. I had 3 tapes. I think it was 3 tapes. Where they were useless. They were just some guy fluffing his lines. So I think it was over Christmas of last year. I was just kind of bored. So I got the tapes together, and this is what I put together over the course of two evenings, I think. And we made quite a funny little video out of it. But at the time I wasn't smiling, and neither were myself, Conor Maloney or Tony Callally. 3 of us are behind the camera. There's myself. And if you look at me now, when I look in the camera, I do not look happy. Ooh, no way. But the hardest thing out of the whole scenario is that he refused to accept that he was in the wrong, should you say? He in the way that he actually tried to blame um, us. It was our fault for him messing up his lines, or it was our fault for not providing with enough for him to carry on with the performance. When in essence he'd sworn to us he'd learned his lines off. So it's unfortunate, but we made a funny video out of it, so I suppose we got something. But it was a test of patience. So anybody out there who's watching this who has been in a similar situation will know, or at least relate to our predicament. Very, very testing. And there, that last line, "I'll fucking kill you." It's a tough one, but there you go. That's a learning curve. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Franco Noonan. Good night.